Alright, this is going to be a video on what else but genital mutilation of male children and why I'm against that. Um, and maybe something else. I don't know if I'll talk about anything else or not. I really don't have a lot to talk about right now. I'm not this thought maybe I should make a video. Haven't made one really today, I don't think. I might have made one. I think that was last night. I don't think it was today. Anyways, I like to try to keep my shit updated and keep stuff posted, and whatever. But um, let's not talk too long about this, but there was this thing that you could buy on, I think, eBay or maybe it was Amazon, and it was called a circumcision trainer kit. And it was literally like a fucking baby torso with like attachable penises that people would cut to train them to do circumcision so that they could do that themselves, I'm guessing, to their children. Take that in. Um, Kind of fucking weird. And while I'm guessing the majority of people that bought this crap, what I hope to be few that did, were probably doing it just because they thought it was funny or some weird shit of that nature. And I'm sorry, but considering the fact you're talking about a child here in genital mutilation, I don't find that funny. I think it's kind of weird and fucked up. But that's still nevertheless find whatever you want funny if you want. Knock yourself out. But um, had been cases of people who actually did do this, so much to the point UK actually um, banned the banned this product. And I'm not sure if America did. America being the incompetent backwards hellhole that it is that loves genital mutilation. Um, but certainly UK did, and America might have. And who knows, maybe other countries did, but one or two people had actually purchased this and attempted to circumcise an infant themselves to save money, I assume, because in the UK and in the majority of states now in America, as I said, insurance no longer covers this because there's literally no reason to. The risk either outweigh the benefits, or the benefits are not fucking significant enough to fucking justify doing this anyways. So they did that, and the child, I don't think died, but they were seriously injured or significantly injured in a botched circumcision by these idiots trying to do this themselves. Um, it's not bad enough to take someone to a medical facility to have a doctor do this. They're not even smart enough to do this, and we're literally trying to attempt to do this themselves. With, I would argue, adverse and probably negative results. Not that the entire thing isn't a negative result, but they fucked it up even worse. So, there's that. And I just wanted to remind you, as I've said before, and it's incredible to me how you can still find people or see people say that the risks associated with circumcision are either minor or few or rarely happen or both. But, rarely happen or both. But I would like to remind you that that is not true or correct because, as I have said before, between 80 to 120 children die a year from botched infant genital mutilation. One second. From botched infant genital mutilation, between 80 to 120 children a year. So those are not minor risks. Now, what you might want to argue is that in that is a year per capita or per year. Now, I want to add in the United States. Now, I want to add to that. I want to remind you. You can say, or you could make the argument, perhaps, that is not a lot of children for a surgery that is still pretty commonly performed. It's less than half now, maybe as low as 40%. We know that. In the numbers, and there's no reason to think anything, or there's no reason to indicate the numbers are doing anything other than decrease or decline, and continue to decrease or decline. But even so, or even with that said, when it's something that can kill the child, because we're talking about death here, and it's from a surgery being performed on them, a cosmetic surgery, that there is very few, if any, significant real reasons to do anyways, and really no real significant reason to do this. Very few minor benefits, and like I said before, a lot of fucking risk, including death. I think between 80 to 120 children dying a year from that is a lot for that. And Even if it was just one per year for a surgery that doesn't need to be committed or performed, one per year would be too damn many, considering the fact, again, you're talking about child death, child mortality, child dying. And again, and it's kind of like the abortion issue. And I've noticed that some of the people that are against abortion, though not all of them, but certainly some of them, how many, who knows, are not against genital mutilation of infant children, or children rather, however old children. They're not against that, but they are against not only post-birth abortion, that I certainly am against, even though it's said, and I'm telling you now, can kill a kid, and I'm making a point here, but still, in New York, for example, they are just straight up attempting to kill the kid, and they're trying to do that in Virginia. In the case of partial birth abortion, again, too close to birth, in my opinion, murder. And I agree with them on all of that. I am against that. But they're not only against that, but they are against abortion within the first 4 months or the first trimester. Now, keep in mind here, you're not even talking about a human being at that point. This is a fetus. It's a bunch of fucking cells. It's not even alive. It's not really even a human life. But they're against that. But they're not against genital mutilation and or sexual assault of an actual human child. They're not against that. But they are against first-term abortion. Kind of hypocritical and doesn't make a lot of sense. Continuing on here with this, the removal of the foreskin is not a small snip. It is not the tip of the penis. Though, as I have said before, even if it was, I would be against even that. But it is not the tip of the penis. It is. In fact, about 40 to 50% of the skin on the penis. It is the foreskin covering the glands, as I have said before. And like I have said before, it can lead to castration. Now, I have no idea if those two children that I talk about later that were hospitalized by two botched circumcision performed by these idiots who, for some reason, thought because they did it on a fucking doll, they could do it in real life to a human. So I have no idea if their botches or the botched circumcisions were that significant, or the risk or what happened to them was that significant. But certainly some children are castrated. And I would like to go into another detail about some of these idiots that are not against circumcision. You can go anywhere and they grab anywhere on the internet. Many of these people are not only against trans kids, trans children, they're against transgender children, they're against or even teenagers, they're against drag kids even. Okay. Now, I want to remind you, these children cannot have sex changes until they're an 18-year-old adult. And I agree with that, by the way. I think you should have to wait till 18 to do that. And I am against that. But that's not the point. I'm about to make my point, if you're listening. They're against drag kids. They're against transgender kids. But there have been children who, as I have said, can be and are castrated, because that is the other negative risk or outcome from circumcision, even though the entire thing is really negative. But these are far more negative things that can happen. Let me catch my breath here. Give me a drink of this. Continuing on here. Where was I? Oh yeah, okay, here. Those are things. Anyways, castration can happen. I'm not sure if it happens more than infant mortality rates from circumcision, but it certainly happens a lot, way too much. And many of these children have to be raised as, well, you guessed it, girls now, because they no longer have male genitals. So they simply try to reconstruct as poorly, but as well as they can a vagina. And often fail at that, but they do attempt. And many of these children have to now grow up and have to be explained to, when they reach a certain age, why they no longer have a penis or genitals of any kind, really. And why they had to undergo a sex change without their permission and transition into another gender, not theirs, or not one of their choosing, without their consent of any kind, because their parents wanted to do something also serious, but less serious than that, to them, and that's rack off the end of their dick. Yes, that's great logic, mom and dad. Very good. And as a result of this now, because of your great parenting, your child is now castrated and having be raised as a girl. And in one such case of that, the person later killed themselves because of this stupid surgery. And of course, as I have said before, but again, I want to remind you, they are against transgender children, who, by the way, cannot legally have a sex change until they're 18 anyways. But they're okay with doing something to their child that could in fact lead to a sex change, but they're okay with doing that to a child, to their infant child at birth, but they're against transgender children. They're against child drag queens. And again, those people cannot have sex changes and do not have sex changes until 18. But you're doing something that could result in a sex change and the forced transitioning of gender to and on a child when they're born. Because it can lead to that. And as I have said before, if that's not bad enough, it can kill them. But again, let me ask you, you don't want your child's penis to look funny or weird, or you don't want your child's penis to look like you don't, or to look different from yours if you're a man, or if you're a female from what you think a penis should, what you like in a penis, or different from the norm, or different from what you think a penis should look like. But it's okay. It's okay if your child doesn't have a dick at all, because that is what can happen if you have a circumcision, or the child does, and there's a mishap. The guy fucks up, the knife slips, it can cut off the entire dick. And of course, there's lesser botches, fuck ups that are not as significant or serious as that, but there are lots of serious botches that can happen. The two worst ones, of course, being death and killing of the child, and the other one being castration of the child. Those things do, in fact, happen, and there is no reason for that. So I just want to remind you of that and how fucked up that is, and how since 1997, female genital mutilation, mind you, have been illegal, but not male genital mutilation. Although, if you take into consideration non-discrimination laws, where you can't discriminate against a gender, race, sexual orientation, religion, or anything else, because you shouldn't, and you can't legally. And not only that, but simply the wording of the document, because even the way it's worded tells you, from my understanding, tells you that it's illegal to mutilate genitals, pretty much, not just females' genitals, but genitals. So they leave enough room for rewording, or enough loophole there anyways that you could fucking pretty much read it that way. But still, nevertheless, they continue to circumcise children in this country, and the law permits that, because they won't even follow their laws that they make. They make fucking laws and discriminate against male children, and then they don't even follow the fucking law, because the way the law is written, even then, it should be fucking illegal. So the entire thing is disgusting. It's mutilation, and I'm just very much against it. And again, it's anything but a small snip. It's not the tip of the penis, and even that would be stupid. It certainly is not a pinprick. Some groups of Judaism are starting to do that. Even that's pointless, but hey, who gives a shit? Nevertheless, the entire thing is stupid. You can't do any of that to girls. You shouldn't be able to do it to boys. And that's my opinion. It's a fucking mutilation and an oppression of a fucking child who is being oppressed, abused, in my opinion, for no fucking reason, because you don't like the way something looks, and you're going to change nature and force a fucking cosmetic surgery on a child that cannot fucking consent to this shit. It's fucked up and it's wrong.